Boom, boom, boom. Apple pie and mama's cooking. Truly American. Boom, boom, boom. Rich, poor, black, white, how you look. You can make it if American. Just do your stuff and do it well. Lots before us did it and we think they're swell. It's the spirit of America, the people. They're truly American. They're truly American.
Boy, have I got a treat for you today. But first, look here. Do you recognize this face? Well, this, of course, is a sculpture of Carl Sandburg. As you perhaps know, Carl Sandburg is one of the 20th century's most beloved and celebrated poets. But then Carl Sandburg was more than just a poet. He was an acclaimed journalist, an author, lecturer, a biographer, and, well, just a plain, downright fascinating character. And he played a pretty mean guitar, too. Now, the treat I was talking about is this. I spent a whole day visiting with Helga Sandburg Kreil, the youngest of Carl Sandburg's 3 daughters, at her home. Now, she reminisced about her childhood and relived some of the memories she has of her father. What's more, she played the guitar and sang some of her father's songs for me. And then, after treating me to a couple bowls of delicious homemade oxtail soup, showed me some of the Carl Sandburg mementos that she's gathered over the years. You know, Helga, when I think of your father's, Carl Sandburg's, early boyhood, I'm reminded of, such interesting characters as Huckleberry Finn and Tom Sawyer, young guys like that, because he seemed to have led that kind of life himself. I guess he was an ordinary kind of a young boy. You know, he played baseball just like all the other boys. I understand he used to go swimming in some farm ponds nearby there in Galesburg, Illinois. Matter of fact, I heard that he once got into trouble because he went skinny dipping.
I know, that's in his book, All with the Young Strangers. Now, he always had a sense of play, which he carried right into his adult years. He played baseball as a child, but also with us as we were growing up.
I see.
And with other men, and a great sense of play.
I understand he was a great horseshoe pitcher.
Yeah, that's right. They used to always pitch horseshoes, and I still remember, the smell of cigar smoke and the men's voices. It's very strong in my memory of him.
Back in Galesburg, now we're talking about August Sandburg and Clara Sandburg.
His father and mother.
Yes. These are your grandparents, right?
Right. They were immigrants from Sweden. They immigrated in their late teens or early 20s, and spoke Swedish, and my grandfather could not write his name. He signed with an X, and my grandmother could just barely write.
I understand that old August was a blacksmith.
Right, he was blacksmith, yes.
He worked for a railroad?
And, yes, in Galesburg.
I've read, and you can verify this for me, that in those days when Charlie was still Charlie, I'd say that
Charlie, they called
with respect, still a little boy, that the only book in the house at one time was the Bible. But that one day, a salesman,
right. They were Lutherans,
a door-to-door salesman knocked on the door, and a whole new thing happened to little Carl Sandburg. Do you remember what that was?
They brought in this book. Book of the Great... What, was it The Great Wonders? You read
something about the Cyclopedia of the Important Facts of the World.
And he read the whole thing through.
It opened up a whole new thing for Charlie.
Now, you understand that I heard about these things later in life.
Yes.
When I was growing up with my father, he didn't talk about his early days so much. Don't forget that he was out of immigrants. And the important thing with him was that he was going to change the world. Even as very young, he felt his genius, I know. And although he wasn't recognized really until his 40s, he had this feeling of destiny about himself.
All I can give you now is broken-faced gargoyles. All I can give you now is a double gorilla head with 2 fish mouths and 4 eagle eyes hooked on a street wall. spouting water and looking 2 ways to the ends of the street for the new people, the young strangers, coming, coming, always coming. It is early. I shall yet be footloose.
I understand he became a professional hobo. He hopped a train going west, didn't he?
Lots of people were doing that then. He wanted to see the wheat fields. He wanted to see the country all the way to the coast. Now, what was he then, about 17 or 18? He wasn't a child
Approximately,
then. Yeah. And he knew the hobos and where they slept, and we don't have this now.
Yes, well...
But it was a life of its own, and Walt Whitman had done this. He'd walked up and down the nation.
Mm-hmm.
It was a poetic thing to do, too, and it wasn't so difficult.
When he was riding the rods, let's put it that way, and experiencing all these different things, meeting people like railroadmen and cowboys and stevedores, farmers, he used to make notes of everything that he saw and everything that he heard.
And songs. He had he got interested in a banjo. He got a banjo when he was very young. And he had a key way that he would write the notes. You know, he could write it on a little tiny piece of paper so that he could play it later accurately on a piano and learn the tune to it. When he traveled up and down the country, he wanted to know every bit of America. I mean, he wanted to travel on it physically. He wanted to know all the cities, and he used the names of the strange Indian names and the very American names in his poem.
The buffaloes are gone, and those who saw the buffaloes are gone. Those who saw the buffaloes by thousands, and how they pawed the prairie sod into dust with their hoofs, their great heads down, pawing on in a great pageant of dusk. Those who saw the buffaloes are gone, and the buffaloes are gone.
Well, you know, when you remember your childhood, it's sort of like remembering a dream. And when I was very young, this is before I was perhaps 7 when we moved to Michigan, I remember hot sun in the fields, and I remember he used to work out there with a sort of a cracker box that he set his typewriter on, and he'd have the notes pinned up on the barn door next to him. And then I remember in the house, he would pick me up and walk me on the ceilings. I don't know whether you've ever done that with children, but it was a very lovely thing, and this was a memory. Then I remember the guitar. And he would always, we would clamor for it. Children liked to be amused, and there wasn't television, and there wasn't radios in those days. And he would get the guitar down, and we would spend an hour, perhaps, after the evening meal, and then he would go up to work. And this is where I learned all the folk songs, which he collected later in the American Song Bag. Lady, this is a song that my father got from the John Lomax collection, and it appears in the American Song Bag, which is a collection of folk songs from all over the United States. On a Monday morning it began to rain. Round the bend come a passenger train. On the bumper was a hobo John. He's a good old hobo, but he's dead and gone, dead and gone, dead and gone. He's a good old...
Chatting with my messmates, passing time away, lying in the shadows underneath the trees. Goodness, how delicious, eating goober peas. Peas, 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 eating goober peas. Goodness, how delicious, eating goober.
Charlie Snyder was a good engineer, told his firemen, don't never you fear. All he needed was a water and a coal. Put your head out the window to see the drivers roll. This is one of my father's old typewriters.
I wonder if he was using this typewriter way back in 1914 when he first was recognized for some of his writing. That was the year that his poetry was published in a journal called Poetry, a Magazine of Verse, right?
Right, that's when he got that $200 prize.
Yeah, it was the first
you know,
prize.
all typewriters have a personality, and this one writes different from other ones. He had reconditioned Remingtons also. So you can sort of tell what he wrote on this one when you see the manuscripts. And this was way back in the beginning.
Yeah. Of course, as the years went by after that, he started really getting some popularity and recognition for writing a lot of the famous books and poems that he did write, and books of poetry.
Yeah. He wrote, after Chicago Poems, Cornhuskers came out, and then Smoke and Steel. And the thing that he did was, if a war was going on, he wrote about the war. And he was always writing about the rights of the laboring man and the rights of the people. And he did it in a way that